University of Nottingham shows what repositories have in them at the moment, or at least the percentage of repositories gathering different types of content. And the data sets is here, this third one up from the bottom. And the figure is that 5% of repositories at the moment say that they are actively collecting data sets from researchers. Now that will definitely go up as more mandates come along from funders and researchers adopt the habit of wanting to self-archive their data sets to put them somewhere safe to be looked after professionally. So that brings me to the last point of the talk, which is about the professional role involved in looking after those data sets. Now, repository managers recognise the challenge that they have ahead of them. There are challenges in the form of the storage space that they will need to make available. In some disciplines, these data sets are actually rather large files. There are the file formats that they have to contend with, so multiple different kinds of file format coming in from across the university from all different disciplines. And that needs a great deal of skill and know-how in how to handle these things and make them properly available for reuse. And finally, of course, there's the long-term preservation question. What are repository managers going to do with files which are in a format which has then become outdated and they need to be migrated to a newer, more modern format? There's a lot of work ahead for those repository managers, but there's also a lot of work ahead within the whole repository community and the data science community in discussing the mechanisms for doing and organising these sorts of things. This is going to be a big topic for study, I think, over the next 5 years or so. In our own study, in our latest one that we've done, which was on the data science skills, we did identify a new professional role for science community, which we called data librarian. Now that's just a name, and it may change as time goes on, but we called it that, and there are a few of them around already. Only a few, though. In the UK, certainly, which is where our study was carried out, there are 5, and in the US there are probably 10 times that number, but no more. So this is a very new part of the library and information science community's professional roles. The library schools are not really geared up yet for skilling up people in this area. They've told us that the library schools have told us that they are not really teaching this topic yet because demand is low for it. There are not really many jobs open, there's no established career path, and there's no grading system for people to enter jobs on. There is also, as far as the library schools are concerned, a problem in that there's a lack of places to put students while they're on their course to get their professional experience or their work experience while they're doing their qualification. Now this, of course, will all change. There's just been a big, fair-sized meeting in Edinburgh run by our Data Curation Centre, which brought together a whole roomful of people who are interested in this area, in data librarianship, and skilling up and professionalising the role. The other thing I would also say is that because research data are quite complex things, I talked about different formats and looking after large data sets over time, people who are going to take this role of data librarian will require a good first degree in in a subject which will then help them to have the understanding and the knowledge to be able to talk to the scientists or the humanities scholars about the kind of data that they are producing and that they need the data librarian to look after for in the repository. So the role of the library, I think, and this is probably, I'm finishing with this, because I think this is probably of interest to some of you there in the audience, because you're coming from that community. We identified 3 roles, really, to do with data librarianship. First of all, there is training researchers to be more data aware. That message needs to go out properly into the research community to make researchers understand the importance of their data, the importance of having their data looked after properly and professionally, and put in a place where that can happen rather than on a CD in their desk drawer. So there's a conversation to be had there between libraries and the research community. Secondly, of course, as I've been talking about, the library will be adopting a data care role via the repository that it's looking after as well. And we anticipate an increased level of what we've called interactional learning and activity between the library and research communities on this. I'm sure that now that you've heard Peter and Dan talk, you will have a great appreciation of the complexities of the data that some of these people are handling, and also the fact that their fields are moving very quickly. And therefore, what researchers are doing this week or this year is not what they will be doing at the end of next year. They will be doing something different because everything will have moved on. Similarly, the library's role in this will have changed too, because the professionalisation and the ways that they are finding to take care of data will be changing. So there's going to be an ongoing interaction between those 2 communities, working very closely together, we believe, to make sure that data are properly cared for and made available properly for sharing amongst the research community. So that's it. That's my 20 minutes or so. I wish you all a happy Christmas, but I'm happy to take questions before I go.